Greetings. We are on the streets of Seoul, South Korea, and just received an email. There is a video circulating right now on YouTube with an audio of Dr. Conrad talking about what's happening now and calling for the resignation of the conference president. We are in a war. What's happening right now is not by accident, it's part of the shaking, brothers and sisters. And so without further ado, I am going to play the audio for you in its entirety. And then I'll come back to close with a comment.
Men will stand for the right, though the heavens fall. During the momentous crisis of the COVID in the past few years, we needed shepherds of this kind of character to defend the flock of God. We look to you, Elder Micheff, for leadership and support. We expected you to be a shepherd. But when the wolves came with their oppressive mandates, you acted as a hireling, left us to fend for ourselves in the act of cowardice. You betrayed the holy trust, and in the time of crisis, you failed to do what you needed to have done. God did not leave us alone, but He raised a true shepherd in the person of Pastor Kelly, who did not flee when the wolves came, but who defended and cared for the flock. And in spite of fierce opposition, it is evident to the whole global church that Pastor Kelly has humbly submitted to God and that he was blessed in his endeavors. But you, Elder Micheff, magnified your guilt by persecuting the innocent and the righteous. It is very clear to us today that you have misused your authority by seeking to cancel and terminate the man who sacrificially and diligently ministered to the flock of God for this time. I'm glad that in the midst of this confusion that you have caused by your wrong judgment, God has given us clear guidance what needs to be done. Ellen White, our prophetic authority, has written a chapter entitled The Conference President in the Loma Linda Messages, page 324. And I quote, "When a man is placed as president of a conference, it is not to be supposed that he is to mold and fashion the minds of the workers in that conference after his own human ideas, and that if men do not follow his ideas, they may be brought to terms by his saying to them, 'You cannot receive wages from this conference unless you do as I tell you.'" Elder Micheff, this is exactly what you have done against the clear counsel of God. So where do we go from here? The quote continues, "I'm instructed to say that when a man swells to a large undue proportions, the people should assemble and in the name of the Lord release that man from office." In order to resolve this major crisis in our church, in obedience to the clear counsel of God, and in the name of all believers who perceive the damage that you have caused, I call on you to step down from your position and allow the church to be led by a faithful shepherd who will truly care for the flock.
I feel partly responsible for what is happening here today, but I have spoken for millions of Adventists worldwide, and it's come at enormous personal cost to me and my family, and the treatment of the church of my family, because there is cancel culture from the top of the church to the bottom. It is vicious. We are told we pray, then we knife our people in the back. It is brutal, and it's hurting my children's faith, and the faith of many children out there today. Just so the members know, you met as a conference executive committee without telling me, without informing me, without prior discussion, and you voted a ban. There was no prior notification. There was no discussion. You did not follow Matthew 18. You did call me in the next day with Pastor Kelly or 2 days later, but we had no idea the ban had been placed upon us, and had a conversation. And we thought it went well. At the end of it, you gave me the letter saying that, you said Satan seeks to divide the church, essentially calling me an agent of Satan. The church manual says this: members have a fundamental right to prior notification of the disciplinary meetings, which can only take place in a church business session, not at a conference office. And the right to be heard in their own defense, introduce evidence and produce witnesses. No church should vote to discipline a member under circumstances that deprive the member of these rights. Written notice must be provided at 2 weeks before the church board meeting and 2 weeks before the business meeting, and include the reasons for the disciplinary hearing. It also says members may be disciplined for sufficient cause, but only at a properly called business meeting after the church board has reviewed the case. You are in clear violation of the church manual. If Pastor Kelly, among other reasons, he defended my right to a business meeting. You have spoken with the elders on 2 separate occasions. You have spoken with the church board. You have spoken with the elders and myself. Those are 4 meetings. All those witnesses will testify to it. You have demanded that the leadership of the church remove me from my positions without going through a business meeting. You are setting aside the rule of law. And if you can do this to me, then from now on the conference can say to any church, remove that member because they disagreed with the dominant narrative. You have besmirched my name before the whole world. I think you should resign, sir.
What is happening right now is part of the shaking, is part of the purification of the church. God is indeed separating the sheep from the goat. This is the final hour of this earth history, and this is also the final hour of the church. The church must be purified, and this is why we are seeing the true nature now of those leaders. And I am on board with Dr. Conrad Vine. Let's continue to pray for each other. Indeed, we are nearing home. God bless you.